All right, guys and gals, this is another episode of the Cleveland Moto Podcast, episode number 377. Light them up, boys. That we had one out. Oscar's
kind of live.
Right.
Yeah.
I got. This is Steve's favorite noise.
Yeah,
Lame.
I love it.
Mr. Tinkles. So yeah, here we go.
But is the ice above the liquid, though?
The eyes are above the liquid.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool,
exactly.
cool.
Yeah,
That's the
we're
right
good to
way
go.
to
Yeah. If I would, I literally, when I poured this motherfucker, I had that ice ball in there and I tried to bury the ice ball.
Yeah.
And then I realized I'd poured myself a 6-ounce bourbon. If you look above our fridge, we've got at least 22 bourbons.
Winning.
And ice balls in the freezer. So, to my immediate left.
Oscar?
And to his immediate left.
Steve, Sleepy.
And to his immediate left.
Dan KROMKE.
And.
Chris Smith.
And.
Johnny Mac.
And our special guest tonight.
I'm Brad Brownell.
Brad Brownell. We're going to get to you later. And then.
Why do they call him Sleepy?
I know. You fucking earned it. We're going to have to have a. You know, like you can't rechristen a boat?
Right.
We may have to rechristen your ass.
Steve Hoffert.
2.0.
Right? The grumpy sewer guy.
Yeah, but how many grumpy sewer guys can there be? There's only
There can
one.
only be one grumpy sewer guy. Yeah.
I'm not grumpy.
Dude.
Damn it. We can change it to the tired
Pissing me
sewer
off.
guy.
Okay, so.
The sleepy sewer guy.
Right. We're just going to go straight to the fucking new guy in the room. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Brad Brownell. I'm the new director of the Crawford Auto and Aviation Museum.
Yo, Brad! Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so, because our podcast listeners, so some of us were at the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride.
Yep.
Yes.
And those of us that weren't at the DGR, because social media is so fucking powerful, got to see all of our videos, because the video from the DGR,
That looked fantastic.
the Godfather themed
Yeah, that was
video
very cool.
that Greg Hughes shot.
That was very cool.
It's fucking great,
Yeah,
man. I mean,
yeah.
like, and he did that while we were sleeping. Motherfucker he's a stay-at-home husband. And I picture at the time, you know, a couple of children were running around the house bleeding. And he was like, no, I got to get this shit together. When we were at the event, Greg had said, there's so many Italian bikes here. Now, you know, the worldwide sponsor for the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride is Triumph. Mm-hmm. And Cleveland has always been this weird anomaly where there's way more Moto Guzzis. There's way more Vespas, and I take personal credit for that shit. But but Triumph has always been like, we don't hate on Triumph. We love Triumph. In fact, the guy who owns the Triumph dealership we've had on our podcast.
I saw it on my way here. It's
Yeah.
like it's 2 blocks that way.
It's that way, right?
Yeah.
And that guy, you know, he's Kirk Van Wert he's one of those guys that when I got back from Germany, and this is 1990, and I went in there and I wanted to find the right bike for me. I have to admit, the right bike for me at the time was a CB750. I had probably a budget of $1,100, and I went into J&J Motors in Massillon, rolled in there and said, my name is Sergeant Waters. I'm in the United States Army. I'm here for a very short period of time. I need a motorcycle I can ride cheap for a little while. And it's got to be a single overhead cam Honda CB750. So what do you got?
That really narrows it down.
And it was hilarious because Kirk at the time was working there as he was working as a sales guy. He was a sales puke on the sales floor. And he goes, well, I have one bike. And he had a 1978 Honda CB750K. Single overhead cam, black with the orange pinstripe and the gold pinstripe. Tastefully what I'd like to call Smokey and the Bandit paint scheme. It was the perfect paint scheme for 1978. The bike had maybe 5,000 miles on it. And he goes, here's the deal. I'll sell you this motorcycle for $750. It runs great. And if you bring it back to me within 2 years and it's not in worse condition, I will give you $750 back towards trade-in value. If you keep it nice. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm your Huckleberry. Game on. And we did the deal, and I was super excited. I had with me a black leather members-only jacket. I had a helmet that was a clone of an Arai made by a company that made guns called Taurus. And I had a Taurus clone of an Arai helmet made in Brazil. And I had a pair of those Lamont work gloves, those yellow Lamont work gloves, tan gloves, right? And I was set, and I was going to ride it all the way from Worcester, Massillon, actually, from Massillon to Cleveland. Now, it was early March, and apparently Dick Goddard failed to warn me that there'd be a snowstorm. What a dick, Goddard. And so approximately, I don't know, middle of Interstate 71 on the way home wise, I ran into a snowstorm on a CB 750 with not nearly the right shit on. Got home with, 4th degree frost nipples. Managed to pull into my driveway, considered the mission a huge success. And 2 years later, what do you think I did?
Traded it back.
I took it back in and got a Honda Super Magna, circa 1987, the Arlen Ness bike. I got a Super Magna, and he was there, of course. And I'm like, hey, do you remember me? And he goes, fuck yeah, I remember you. And I said,
the guy that froze his nipples off on the way home.
well, he's like, I always wondered what happened to you. And I was like, well, what happened to me is I put a brand new set of tires on your bike. It's got a new chain on it now. And I'm like, and you said 750 both ways. And he goes, yep, that's the deal. And I got I bought a 1987 Honda Super Magna. And he and I have been work friends ever since. And the funny thing is he became the owner and, operator of State 8 Motorcycles, which is a massive motorcycle empire. And we've always traded bikes. We do inventory swaps, and he's a very fun guy. Like, he's just in Ohio motorcycle history. Yeah, from a retailer standpoint, the man's a solid. I would go as far as to say he's a mensch. So that's saying something.
Is he still obsessed by runes?
He is still obsessed by runes. So you know the story. In his warehouse, there used to be this place in Cuyahoga Falls called the Boot, Scoot, and Boogie, or whatever the fuck it was.
Oh, yeah. It used to be the Akron Agora, too.
Yeah.
Back in the
this
day.
giant warehouse-sized music venue that he bought as a warehouse for his State 8. Wow. And you go inside, and it looks like you're in Indiana Jones Temple, like the warehouse from Indiana Jones, where they put the Lost Ark. But it's all Honda Runes, all the way, and I think it's every Rune that was ever produced. And for the people who don't know what a Honda Rune is, it's the motorcycle that never should have been built. Like,
it ruined everything.
The funny thing about a Honda Rune is it predates all of the just fucking wackadoodle custom motorcycles, right? And that motorcycle, the Honda Rune, the crazy motorcycle that's a Goldwing underneath. It's an 1800cc, 118 horsepower, 123 torques. It's a bad motherfucker. And it is completely custom from Honda. Apparently, they had $100,000 tied up in every Rune they built, and they sold them for the princely sum of $26,000. So they lost $74,000 every time they sold one of those bastards.
Even still, I can't imagine paying $26,000 for one.
And I honestly think that Kirk's concept is exactly that. So he waited until people were like, I've made a big mistake.
Yeah.
And when people said, I've made a big mistake, then he was all too happy to jump in and go, so, do you like cash? Nobody wants to buy this bike except for me. And that's exactly true. And this is all happening in year of our Lord, 2004. But if you look at this motorcycle, it's fucking wild. I mean, it's a crazy ass motorcycle. It's got a trailing link, bizarro fucking Earl's front fork assembly. It's got the 1800cc Goldwing motor on it.
It's got a gutter for a rear fender.
The rear fender literally is the letter C. Yeah. If you have not enough air in the back tire, you can trench an entire field.
They asked BMW for that other ugly ass bike for the gas tank.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
The California or something like
That pipe.
Yeah, and the last time I checked, these are still worth about $25,000.
You're exactly right. Right. So they've been a solid point in the market. And I have actually had customers offer these to me for $8,000 and $10,000, but they were bikes that people had put 80,000 miles on. And then you go out and you look at the thing and you're like, yeah, 80,000 miles ago, it was desirable, but now it's got 80,000 miles on it. And it does get into that weird thing about, like, I'm sure you're going to tell me how easy it is to get parts for them, but I'm almost positive it's not. So it is a very, very fun.
It's a Goldwing.
Yes, it is a
80,000
Goldwing.
miles on a Goldwing, you're just barely breaking it in.
I know. Yeah, and that's
like
exactly
your first
it.
trip.
Yeah. Now, the only problem with this particular Goldwing is it only has one Goldwing part in it.
The
and
engine?
that's the Subaru motor that's driving it. So yeah, you are kind of up, you got your head against a rough spot right there. But yes, Kirk Van Wert did collect every fucking Rune I've ever seen. Every Rune I've ever seen, he bought. And so he's got them in a big warehouse out there. So big fun right there. Super fun, super stupid. So
we didn't come here to talk about runes.
we did not come here to talk about runes. So the first time you appeared in my radar was when you wrote an article for about the Grom.
Oh yeah, I've ridden it twice.
Yes.
I had a loaner one
Yeah.
in Reno, and then I went to Small Bore Festival
in Georgia.
Alabama.
Alabama, yeah.
At Barber.
Yeah.
And so I rode the I guess second gen and the third gen or whatever.
Exactly.
And
The old one and the new one.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was hilarious because I have to remind our podcast listeners, describe yourself from a physical standpoint.
I am not a small man.
No, he fits right in at ClevelandMoto.
He's kind of like John McElfresh's twin, sort of.
These guys can hang out,
Yeah.
right, at the same time.
They could share
and
clothes.
you'd be like, this is all great. I hope neither one of them starts throwing hands.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly right.
The teeter-totter would be perfect for them.
It would be. It'd be an awesome teeter-totter.
I'm just saying, you walk in a bar with those two, and
Yeah.
I'm way more confident.
Brad, how tall are you?
6'2",
6'2". And how much tonnage do you displace?
3-ish.
3-ish, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like 20 stone, right?
You guys actually came on my radar probably, I don't know,
this
5
is
or
when we
6
talk
years
nice
ago.
about each other.
Yeah. Well, I used to do a podcast with a guy named Cam Vanderhorst, who has been on this show
We know all about Camden
Oh,
Tubbed.
we know Cam.
1,000 times.
Camden Tubbed.
Yeah, back in the day.
Oh, you were the other guy?
Yeah, I was tubbed.
He was tubbed.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one of you is cheese?
All right. My condolences.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like Cam.
Yeah,
Cam's
we probably did,
good guy.
I don't know, 300 or 400 episodes
did.
of that show.
Yeah.
It ran for a long time.
It did. Yeah.
And then, both of us just got way too busy and,
and he went off on the deep end with his Corvettes and got a mullet.
I don't know.
he definitely did get a
Okay.
mullet.
And he became 65 or
I was going to
70.
check. That was my joke. I was
Someone-
like, every time I see Cam, he's older.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
He buys another car that makes him older.
Yeah.
And we ran into him at the Radwood Festival, which is all 90s cars. And so Oscar and I were out there. We had a bunch of JDMs with us and stuff, and kind of we didn't know what to think about the whole event.
Well,
The guy, I'm sorry. I lost my mind. Guess who owns that rally car? A dude I work with at Summit.
Oh,
Yeah. I pull into I'm in the parking lot. I'm like, hey, it's that fucking
there was
rally car.
a Ford Cosworth.
yeah.
Full race.
I know that guy.
Yeah, he
well,
works
he does
at
too.
Summit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
there you
now
go.
the world has gotten even smaller.
Well, I would love to hear your thoughts about Radwood because I was one of the founders of that show.
You know what? We had a great time.
Good.
We really had a great time. And nothing but good vibes.
Yeah.
And what I really love about the whole Radwood concept is you forget that in the 90s, when Chris was working for General Motors, there were some beautiful cars. They
Yeah.
just weren't coming from America.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? There were some
Not the K cars.
not the K cars. Right. There were no
the X bodies.
There were no citations, there were no celebrities at the show. But it is kind of fun that the Radwood concept is that we kind of, I know I'm guilty of it. If you ask me to name a really bitchin' motorcycle from the 80s, it can be kind of hard to do. It can be kind of challenging. And that's the same thing where you say like, oh, name a really awesome car from the 80s and 90s in the United States. And you're like, oh, that's hard to do. But when you go to Radwood, you're like,
They're all there.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, there was some style. It wasn't just cocaine and Miami Vice and cars that look like doorstops.
Handles like it's on rails.
My favorite motorcycles from the 80s, I've lusted after for years, and I eventually will have to buy one.
And
but
that is?
the 83 original Katana.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. And
I
I thought you were
will.
going to say like
you will eventually run into the guy. If you're in Cleveland long enough, you'll run into the guy in Willoughby who has, I think, 6 or 8 of them.
Oh.
And he lives in Willoughby and he has them in his house. And so he has various levels of them, from a 100-point perfect restoration to like a hot rod version. And yeah, he's the guy.
Is that the guy that owns the Honda Turbos too?
I think he might be
He had 3 or 4
turbo
Honda
fetishist.
turbo.
Yeah, right.
One of those katanas will probably sign my death warrant at some point. But
Yeah, I mean,
Well, they came out with the new katana.
they
yeah,
did.
That's a
it's
kind of a
not.
good
How did you feel about the new katana?
It looks cool, but it's kind of boring.
Well, okay. I mean,
It's a cynical rehash of something that used to be cool. I don't know.
look, Oscar owned the wrong katana.
Yeah.
So Oscar owned the katana that we all have. That katana.
that's the
Those are called
Canatuna.
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 Yeah, Canatuna.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
With the purple.
Wish I was a GSXR.
Right.
So, if you squint and you lean your head just right, it kind of looks like a Gixxer, but it's not. But yeah, you're right. And when you tell people, you're like, I lust after a katana.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, the fuck? Do you collect swords?
But the original.
But I want the real katana.
Yeah.
Well, so Honda came out with the Honda Hurricane, right?
Yes, they did.
And so Suzuki was like, we might have to wrap something in plastic too. 100%. So that's what the Canatuna came from. Because if you think of those, there's only so many bikes that are completely wrapped in plastic.
It's true. And
The Hurricane
and
is like a sports version of the PC 800.
it
is.
You know what? And
Or
Don't
the
start with the
Easy
PC800.
if you do look at a Honda Hurricane, right, you do understand that they're literally using plastic to hide all the cheap parts.
Oh, yeah.
So you're like, well, what kind of frame does it have? We're not telling. You know? And when you see
Oh, yeah.
when you see a Honda Hurricane from the mid 80s, you realize that they have literally there's this much of the frame that is like a proper cast aluminum part of the frame, and it's the only part they're showing you. And then they're showing you a box section swing arm.
I still want one.
I know, dude. I know. I look, I'm not faulting you. I had the 87 Honda 400 Hurricane from Japan that had VTEC. Yeah, imported from Japan with an annoying little red light on the dashboard that would indicate every time you went over 100 kilometers per hour, which caused me ceaseless worry about like what is going to blow up. And I didn't
Black tape.
realize. And it just said speed. It just said underneath red light speed.
Oh, like that thing, over 20 miles an hour. Speed.
Speed. Exactly.
Speed.
Oh, the Honda Gyro, the
Yeah.
pizza wagon. Yeah. Yep, the pizza wagon. We're going to get that thing to Pete with like 40,000 extra miles on it because of just going to get pizza. It's what it was designed for, though. It's part of its soul is to go get pizzas. So very cool. So now you did the shootout on the Groms. You did the intro on the Groms, and they gave you the tuner Grom. They gave you the nicest Grom that you could have.
Yeah.
Out of that whole group, you're the only one that got the Grom race replica.
Yes.
Nice.
I mean, it didn't actually have any like,
We know.
but it's, you know,
We know all about the Grom. That's why we sell TNTs.
stripes and stickers.
Right.
But it was rad. I mean, we got 3 laps at Barber flat out. I mean,
Which is amazing.
it was great.
Yeah.
That was life changing because
Yeah.
it was probably 300 mini motos, like up to 125cc, flat out for 3 laps.
Top speed 83.
Yeah.
Of the fastest bike there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Everything else
And-
going 54.
And on a Grom, Barber Motorsports Park has 2 brake zones.
Yes, it does. Yep.
That's it.
That's all
It's
you
just
have.
wide open.
Keyhole.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're done.
That's it.
It's so fun. I did many years ago, a lot of years ago, I was working with a company called Malaguti, which is the Italian word for bad luck. I was working with them, and we had a bunch of celebrity bikes for, Ben Bostrom and Nicky Hayden and like all the racers. We had provided them with these Malaguti Ducati race replica scooters. And it was a co-branding between Ducati and Malaguti. And we brought 20 of them or whatever out to the track, and I prepped them all. And I got to like hang out with Ewan McGregor and all these people that were there to be like, hey, we're giving this guy a scooter. And by the way, you're going to prep all of them. You're going to sit in the tent. Did you bring tools? I didn't know I had to fucking bring tools. So I had to go to Walmart and buy tools so I could prep bikes out of the crate, make them rideable in like 12 minutes per bike. But as things thinned out, as they will, we got invited to go out on the track because it's fucking Ewan McGregor. And so everybody was like, Ewan McGregor. And so I went, well, you probably shouldn't take that on the track unless I'm with you. And we did. We got to take a hot lap of Laguna Seca on 49cc.
Ooh, I love that.
Italian 2-stroke scooters. Fantastic. Do you know what that track is on 49cc's worth of power? Difficult. It's fucking difficult.
Yeah.
It's really
There's
hard.
a lot of uphill.
There's a lot of uphill. There's so much uphill. And like we're on bikes that are still restricted because you have to de-restrict them. So I was only able to de-restrict 3 or 4 of them that they could go like almost 60. but most of them were still restricted. And that was
one of you
pathetic.
and McGregor, though?
Of course. I had a de-restricted 155, and he had a de-restricted as well. So I had a Ben Bostrom, and he was on a Fogarty replica. And we were, having fun. And it was neat because that's when you realize somebody who's a celebrity honestly gives way more shits about motorcycles and would much rather drink beer and talk about motorcycles than anything else on the planet, which I think we all agree with. It's pretty badass. So when you were able to do that journalism whack, what outlet was that with?
Jalopnik.
That was Jalopnik?
Yeah, I wrote for them for 5 years. I was first I was the weekend editor, and then I was the evening editor.
Yeah.
And wrote there for 5 years, probably 2,500 blogs on that site. Maybe, I don't know, 30 or 40 big reviews like that, where I got to go on trips and see all the cool stuff and drive cool things. And
I have an issue with Mercedes Streeter.
she left.
I have a major issue with her because she wrote an article talking about how easy it was to import a JDM. So she writes this article, and it's a really well-written article back in July of 2021, and talking about like, it's really not hard to import a car from Japan. You just need to do these things. One of them is to make a phone call to a fucking customs broker, right? Because I do a lot of Japanese imports. And so I have all these people who are like, I can totally buy a car in Japan and import it. I read that article on Jalopnik.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, when your car's seized by customs and it's going to cost you $2,500 to get out.
For dirt?
For dirty car. Don't call me. And we get that phone call all the time. So her article gets quoted constantly. I mean, constantly, because people read that shit.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, I could totally import a car from Japan. It'll be easy.
Did she really import a car from Japan, though?
She did.
She did. Yeah, she did.
And she got lucky, or did she use a broker?
Well, she ultimately used a broker to do her customs and all the stuff that you have to do, which that broker was able to completely head problems off at the pass that she didn't prepare for. So it was only the fact that she lucked into an amazing broker that was like, no, you did everything wrong. You need to write me another check, right?
Yeah.
And so when people don't realize what saved her was there was a broker that knew this was her first time importing a JDM car. And that broker stepped up and did everything. But John Q. Public reads this article and goes like, oh, it's easy.
Yeah.
If you're a fucking broker, if you're a customs broker. If you're not a customs broker, because I had to get bonded to bring cars in as an importer. And if you don't, the government is set up to help you. No, the government is set up to charge you $700 every time your car moves from this part of the lot to that part of the lot. And they'll get you every single time. So, yeah, that article is pretty funny, but we're like, yeah, it could have stood to be a paragraph longer. One extra paragraph might have saved a lot of people trouble. But that's a pretty thing. And we love Jalopnik, obviously. So, you get a lot of fun stuff there. So tell us about this crazy deal you got, because you showed up today on an actual 2020 Livewire.
Yeah.
That is one of the only live wires I've ever seen being ridden by the person who paid for it.
Well,
That's fucking rare, man.
The great thing about that job at Jalopnik was I was at the press launch for that bike in 2018, maybe.
Right.
And within 30 seconds, fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Just just right out of the parking lot. As soon as I got used to not having a clutch and not using a shifter, I was like, "Oh, this thing rips!"
You grab the air clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fun and it's so fast and it's incredible. Of course, at the time it was $29,000.
It sure was.
And I was like, it's not worth that.
Right.
Yeah, $29,799.
$29,799. And by the way, remember when it first launched, it was exactly 30,000.
Yeah.
And then it was like plus.
Right.
The stories of people getting out of their dealers for 32 grand seem to be the order of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went on the launch of it, loved it.
Yeah.
Got a short-term loaner from Harley.
Oh, wow.
I had it for maybe 3 months.
Yeah.
And rode it from, I used to live in Reno, Nevada. I rode it from Los Angeles to Reno and then from Reno back. And I kind of learned what it was like to live with, what the charging's like, what the infrastructure is like. And still loved it despite some of its flaws.
Yep,
in,
I totally
in
get it.
those instances. So I was like, well, when I find a good deal on one,
Yep.
and it's kind of close or whatever, I'll pick one up. Well, I sold my company in February, and in March I bought one. So, I was passively looking before that, and then I had an influx of money and was like, oh, I need to go buy the thing that I love.
My looking just became active.
Yeah. And so there was one that came up on an auction site. The Bike Curious. They're what's the other half of them? The Iconic Motorcycles or whatever. They have an auction site out west. Somebody had one on that site. I bid on it at like 17 or something like that.
Was that the green one?
I don't remember.
There was a green one that got kicked around for a while too.
Yeah,
that was
could
like
be.
had 2,000 miles on it or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I bid on that to like 17. It went, didn't meet reserve.
Nope, didn't meet reserve. Yep.
I sent a message to Abby, the guy who was running it, and he called me and he goes, the guy wants basically what he's got in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he's not going to get that.
No.
There's no way.
No.
He wants 31 or whatever. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, he's still paying payments on it. And I'm like,
Not your problem.
yeah, I don't care.
Artistic financing, not my problem.
So I passed on that one, obviously.
Right.
And then I saw one on Craigslist that was local. My wife and I moved to Bath.
Yep.
And there was one in Medina.
Yeah.
Like literally 5 miles away. So I went in to look at it. The guy who bought it originally from Harley happened to be there that day.
Yep.
So like serendipity, it just happened to work out. And, he's talking to me a little bit and he goes, I bought it for 30, whatever the original was,
what they are.
financed it, the whole deal, had it for a year, put 1,100 miles on it, and then traded it in for a Road King or something.
Yeah. All right.
And
Well, whatever he could hide the negative equity in.
Right, yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
what it came out to.
Right.
I've gotten $10,000 of negative equity. I need to put somewhere.
Can I roll this
Right.
into?
What can I roll into? And they went Road King or a bigger.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it ended up at this, not affiliated with a brand dealer.
Yep.
And just a power sports dealer or whatever.
Right.
And they had it sitting on the lot. And apparently it had been there for 6-7 months. by
Did
the
he
time.
file for his $2,500 federal tax credit?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't get it because it's secondhand.
Right,
but
exactly.
But maybe.
Yeah. I would hope he did.
I hope so too.
We've found an amazing number of people that are like coming in here and they're like, I got to make sure I get that federal tax credit. And then we find out a year later that they didn't even file.
Oh, no.
And so when they want to trade a bike in, I'm like, did you file for the federal tax credit? And they're like, oh, I wanted to. And I'm like, so before you trade this in,
Do that.
I'm going to give you a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the nicest dealer that ever existed. I'm going to hold off taking this bike in on trade long enough for you to get your Form 4286 to your tax man so that you can get a check from Uncle Sam for 10% of what you paid retail for this thing.
Yeah.
Up to $2,500. Because that's a big part of buying an electric vehicle.
Huge.
And people
Yeah.
forget about it.
Huge.
Yeah, that's it.
So I was talking to him. He said he traded it to that dealer at 20,000. So he lost 10 grand in a year and a half.
10 grand. Oh,
Yeah.
my friend. He
Yeah.
lost 12.
Well, sure,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Because that dealer didn't give all the other stuff for free.
Well, and he had finance charges, and I'm sure there was. Yeah.
Oh, painful. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think
So
they
you
were
can
Interest for a year and a half.
You could have bought an FX.
with the
Yeah.
with the
The
money
money.
he lost,
Yes.
he could have bought an FX.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And then
So-
sold it
man.
back for the same thing.
Okay,
And not lost a penny.
we have a phrase here at the shop. Indecisiveness is motherfucking expensive. People, my Honda Hunter Cub that I got out there was less than 8 months old when I got it from a guy who traded it into us.
Wow.
The same guy traded us in a Super Cub, a brand new 2020 Super Cub.
I want a line on that. If you ever sell that, I want to be on that.
We got like this one guy we know has an addiction problem, and he'll buy a bike, full boat, and then put
Trick it out,
$2,000 worth of candy on it.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, I'm done now.
Yeah.
And then he goes and trades it in and buys something else. And it's just a revolution for him.
Does he own that Moto Guzzi too?
No.
Who owns that really nice California?
Chris. No.
No, that's not the nice one.
It was when he got it.
No,
It was when you were riding it.
I know who you're talking about, but yeah, we have a guy that did spend over 20 grand on a beautiful Cali, spent 3,000 making it even better, and then was like, if I can get 14, I'll take it.
Does it have the H pipe conversion?
No.
See?
Yeah.
See?
Well, he got a Cali. He got a Cali
would be
touring.
H
Not
to
just
you.
a Cali, but a Cali fucking touring, which all the candy from the factory for less than salvage value. And he bought it that way. He's the owner of it. And it came like ultimately pristine. Like, it's crazy when people say there are no good deals out there. You just
have to wait.
they just show up.
Well, I
Yeah.
still want to know what the back end of that deal was, because that bike came with a studded collar on the back of it.
Okay.
And-
there was a lot of
And one of those balls that goes in your mouth.
That thing came
I
dripping.
paid for that a couple of different ways.
That bike came dripping in Blue Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And it was so, I mean, all I can think of is Village People Cop.
Yeah.
Like Village People Cop. That
was him.
Everything was covered in spikes and studs. It had
Leather.
it had a spiked license plate bracket.
And the spike coming out of the middle of the seat was
It was.
weird.
Yeah. That one big pink spike.
Yeah.
So fucking weird, man. But yeah, so I mean, getting that bike, that's a score.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I ended up making the dealer eat a little bit too. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Look, the dealer was all too happy to be like, "Sir, you know how much negative equity you have?
Right.
This is going to look so good on the back of a Road King, or bigger,
Right.
Yeah.
So they, and I'm sure they didn't want to pay space on the floor to have it sitting around
Don't
another
even need
6
to.
months or whatever.
Because
So they sold it to me.
Right.
I got a good deal on it.
And
I'm
the
happy
line was
with it.
discontinued at that point,
Yep.
so they really didn't want to have it around.
Yep.
Because it's just an annoyance.
Yep.
Yeah, and which is really, really good timing. And it's very funny that now the Livewire, so the same bike you own,
Yeah.
right? Something happened in the exchange rate. Every other bike in America went up in price, except for the Livewire, which literally lost
$8,000.
$8,000.
Yeah.
It just $8,000 just fell away.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how much profit margin was built into the first one if they just gave up $8,000.
Well, honestly, my thought on it is that bike is way overbuilt.
Yes, it is.
I bet they lost money on every one of them.
Well,
that they
it
sold.
comes back to the Rune.
Yeah.
Right? It comes
Yeah.
back to the Rune. And if you do look back to Mission Motorcycles and stuff, when they were selling this bike's prototype and stuff, they were selling it with a bunch of guys working in a factory in San Francisco building these bikes. And when you think about the price then, it was more expensive than what the Livewire was. So that's a big thing. And we, in this, this word, so if you guys look at the Mission Motorcycles RS was $56,499. The R, so the R that the Mission Motorcycles are,
That stands for really spendy.
well, that was $30,000. So the R was their down market bike. Like that was the general idea behind the Mission. So that the R and the RS was crazy. I mean, if you looked at the RS was truly Isle of Man, crazy, batshit, bonkers, bike. And it's really, really a cool machine. That's the RS. But the R, the regular model, was $30,000. So, that was just the standard model. Yeah, that's what you bought. And that history, that's where the Harley came out of. That's where the Livewire came out of. So good for them, right?
Yeah.
And when we think about that stuff, we're in a room right now that has an Energica. We've got several Zeros. We got an SRF. We got a custom SRF. We got a DS. We got a DS. We got an FX. We've got an FXE, the fucking Buck Rogers bike
looks
behind
so
me.
cool.
So cool. It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
That bike is cool.
Yeah.
And it weighs 280 pounds.
Yep.
280 pounds and 88 foot-pounds of torque. Fuck you.
Yeah. It's quick.
If you guys haven't checked lately, apparently the planet now measures torque differently. So did you know that?
No.
You didn't know that?
No.
So, Brad, last week we all went out and rode electric scooters.
Okay.
We rode the living shit out of electric scooters.
Excellent.
We rode electric scooters until we were angry.
Okay.
And we were
Literally.
angry.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. And
I have wanted one of those, the Vespa Electrica.
Yeah.
They're so cool.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Well, if you'd have been with us 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
you might have had a different opinion.
Okay.
You'd want
So-
a new or a Neo or whatever.
Would you like to guess how much
Really?
torques the Vespa Electrica has?
Well, I can read it.
Yeah, 147.5 torques.
Yeah.
Well, how do they
We
come
know
up with
that's
that?
not true.
Okay.
Right. We know that's not true. But
I think
this
the
is the
decimal
thing.
point's in the wrong place. You move it one over, it's about right.
It's about right. Exactly. Now, we all rode that bike, and we know that that bike strategically, scientifically, mechanically, orgasmically couldn't go above 43 miles per hour
It
indicated.
has no balls in the,
Right.
from the line.
And all the other Neos, all the other electric scooters were just like, fuck you gone, you know? And the Vespa Electrica is a solid $8,000 bike
Yeah.
before fees.
Right.
And the Neos that were half as much money were just like, ciao. And
Or
exactly.
Like the blinkers?
It was a little annoying. Well, Oscar got the bad end of it. So when we got to my house halfway through the test, when the batteries were all kind of saying 55%, we decided, okay, fair's fair, fun's fun. We done drag racing, we done power roll-ons, we done all kinds of fun shit. We'd had a beer, we'd thought about life, the decisions we'd made. We decided to put the heaviest guy on the bike that had the most power and the most battery left. And we decided to take the lightest guy and put him on the least powerful bike with the least battery left, giving us all a fighting chance. It turns out our math was perfect.
Yeah.
Because we all ran out of electrons literally
At the door.
2 miles away from the shop.
Yeah, it was 2 miles. Yep.
And limping this shit in is not pretty.
No.
So most
is it Neo?
Neo. Yeah, the Neo.
You.
That thing in economy mode.
Yeah.
Patrick had it in economy mode when
Yeah.
he first left the shop. It was like 14 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We all know.
I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for him. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Have you
He's like,
gotten your live wire into punishment mode yet?
Oh, yes.
Okay, and what's punishment mode?
Well, so the very first time that I borrowed one from Harley,
Yeah.
I was riding it from LA to Reno. And when
That's remarkably optimistic.
yeah. And when I left, I was like, oh, Charger's 83 miles away, says I've got 100 miles, no problem.
Never trust it.
Nope. I learned that very quickly, about 83 miles later.
Oh my God.
I stopped north on the Grapevine.
Yeah, on the Grapevine.
Because
yeah,
you
have
as soon
to
as
go
I started
over
to
the
go
hill.
uphill, I was like, oh, I'm not going to make it.
No. You're not going to make it.
And I ate the last 10 miles in about a mile and a half.
Yeah, for real.
And yeah, it doesn't even give you driving directions. It says, fly, you
It
idiot.
does. It literally puts you in an airplane. It goes, why would you drive there? Right? So, yeah,
So I
LA
went
to
the-
Reno, Nevada.
I went the 5 route on
Yeah.
the west side.
Yeah, of course.
Because
Yeah.
there's
Five,
better
yeah.
charging
There's
on that
charging.
side.
Yeah.
And
You're doing 516 miles.
Yeah.
On an electric motorcycle.
in 2 days.
And that is conservatively 7 stops.
Oh, it's more than that.
I know, but I'm
Yeah, it's-
saying
yeah.
if you read the owner's manual,
Yeah.
your brain is thinking, I can do this in 7 stops.
Yeah,
Which
right.
we know you can't do.
No.
Wait, how many miles?
Almost 500.
Yeah, 480 miles, give
So
or
that
take.
thing
yeah.
gets less than 100 miles per charge?
Oh, yeah.
On the highway, at highway
Oh,
speeds?
yeah,
Hell
yeah.
But that thing can do about 100, can it?
No.
Well, the Zero SRF can go about 90 if you're gentle. If you keep it about 65. I've done 90 on a tank. Yeah. On
I
a
got
13.4.
out of an SRS, the aerodynamic one. I mean, I'm not very aerodynamic,
No, none of us are.
but I think out of that I got maybe 80.
Yeah.
And
If
that's
you-
about what I can get out
Right.
of a.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about what I can get out of a live
And I
wire.
found
It's
the
80.
live wire and the SRS were almost identically matched on range.
Yeah.
Almost identical. Like I couldn't, no matter how I rode the SRS and rode the live wire, the range was
Similar.
goddamn
Yeah.
similar.
Yep.
Right. And that's exactly true.
I had both of them at the same time as
Yep.
loaners, and I was very. They were very competitively matched.
Extremely competitively
They
matched.
have similar
Yeah.
power.
Yep.
They have similar delivery. It's interesting.
It's almost weird.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the SRS and the live wire launched on the same day. So that was an interesting thing. So people were clamoring for that launch of the, SRF. So the SRF and live wire, because when that launch happened, as soon as they launched the live wire, they moved the launch of the SRF up. Because the second they launched the live wire, what did everybody in the media talk about? $30,000.
Yeah.
And over at Zero's house,
SRS
it was
is 20,
$20,000.
yeah.
So it was like same exact specs, $10,000 less. And that was a very interesting time to be trying to get onto the Zero website because it got crashed constantly.
So
Yeah.
the
So
live
getting to
wire
Reno?
about 78 miles north of Los Angeles. I was literally like, if I can make it up to the top of this hill, I can coast to my charger. I know I can make
I
it.
can coast into Bakersfield and I no problem.
Yeah. And I did not
Regen
make
down
it.
the hill.
No,
I can regen all
no.
the way
So
down.
punishment mode came in at what percentage?
1.
At 1%.
Yeah, it'll go all the way down to
So
1.
it'll give you 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per
Yeah.
hour, all the way to 1%. You don't have to keep stabbing it into sport mode.
No.
It doesn't kick you into eco
No.
mode. Right. Whereas the Zero.
Well, I was already in eco.
You were in
but
eco anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
think-
Zero kicks you into eco.
But they incrementally seems to go down on mine.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes from like 85 to like 65 to 60 to
Right.
55.
But so what I can tell you about that is if you are stuck on the side of the road with the flashers on, your lithium 12 volt battery
you're-
is about this big.
Right.
And it lasts about 15 minutes.
So
Because if you get to a charger, if some kind soul with a trailer pulls up, allows you to load onto his trailer, hauls you to the next charger, you still won't be able to charge because your 12 volt is dead and it won't talk to the charger. Yes.
Oh no.
these things are the devil.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a fucking cigarette pack.
So it won't make the handshake to talk to the charger if you don't have a 12 volt connection. And because I had left my hazards on,
Yeah.
it was completely dead.
Yeah.
So I found a shop, luckily, that was like a quarter of a mile away,
Yeah.
that had a battery in stock. And I borrowed the tools from them. And I had to push the bike to their shop, which is a 500-pound
That's
bike.
an insult.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so I changed the battery, swapped the battery, rode it
Yep.
back to the charger, plugged in, and then the charger died. It was like the
It
worst.
was not meant to be.
You had all the problems.
It was one of the worst days of my riding career.
The same thing
But-
that deadlined Ewan and Charlie on their trip from
Yeah.
Tierra del Fuego is that 12 volt.
Yep.
And in Harley, they buried it.
Yep.
In the Zero, it's right. You can get to it. It's right by the seat. Super easy to get to. But these batteries, they're made by Ballistic and a couple of different companies that make these lithiums, and they're bloody fucking expensive little batteries.
Yeah.
And if you adore them and treat them correctly, they'll last a goddamn long time. But the problem is when you park your live wire or your Zero or whatever. So all of the Zero FXEs and the Zero S models, the older generation Zeros, they don't have that 12 volt battery. Everything's running on the big ass motherfucking beautiful batteries. So the whole 12 volt thing is just bled off of a DC to DC converter. Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't think
You don't have that in your
I
bike.
don't have that.
Right. You don't have that in your bike. That thing only exists in the bikes that have the Bosch stability control system so that when your big ass battery runs out of electricity, you still have ABS. You still have traction control, which is silly. You have traction control for a bike that has no traction.
No traction.
You have the power to run those 12 volt flashing lights and all your 12 volt shit, even though you don't have the 106 volts behind it.
But it does have an irreplaceable or unreplaceable battery in the
clock.
display that fucks you all up because everything goes blank.
It does.
It messes up the charger.
It has
does
a watch
everything.
battery.
It does, and you have to replace the entire
Look,
display.
they should just make the background of the display solar to just power the display.
Like a calculator.
Exactly, like a calculator. None of us have ever replaced a battery in a 1972 solar calculator.
So after that getting stuck,
Ouch.
I've never had a problem since because I learned the hard way.
Yeah, you did.
But I know, I can only do 70 miles or 80 miles,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not going to stretch that last 10%.
That's right.
What about in the city, though?
Oh, city, it'll go forever.
Yeah.
150.
Exactly.
So what's the
Whatever
top
miles.
speed when you hit that 1% left on your battery?
It'll go all the way to top speed.
So
It'll
it
do
will
112.
still go out to 112.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll still go out to 112.
Punishment mode isn't where like you're restricted to 15 miles
So
an
with
hour.
the Zero,
When you hit 0,
Yeah.
it's like
it's
it
gone.
goes down to like 5.
You're literally
like you're
walking.
literally
okay.
a little turtle comes up on
Yep.
the dash
Yep.
and goes, "You're screwed, man. Get to a charger."
Right.
Like hurry up.
but it'll
'cause-
still move for a certain
a
period.
little bit, yeah. About like maybe a mile.
And the
or a
Zeros
quarter,
are different.
half a
So
mile.
the Zeros will constantly try to put you into eco mode to remind you that you should be gentle, but you can say fuck you and put it back into sport mode if you know where your house is.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
can go to like minus 12.
Yeah, that's the magic. The magic with the zero is you're like, okay, I'm at 2%. 9 miles later, I'm still at 2%. And 9 miles later, I'm still at 2%. And I pulled into my driveway and I'm like, I'm at no percent, right? I'm at no percent. And the bike's like, want to party? But it won't party. It'll just get you to 30 miles an hour.
No, you want to stagger around like a drunk and have a good time.
Yep. And I've done my zero. I got to my house and I was like, okay, well, I know I'm out. Like all the things, the state of charge and the range and everything is just like, you're done. However, the battery's like, I promise you there's a little more. And the engineers have made sure you can't actually get to the bottom of the battery because that would be bad for everything. But it's hilarious when like my neighbor's like, why are you driving in laps around the neighborhood? And I'm like, I'm trying to run it out of electricity. And the guy's like, okay. I was like, I hit no electricity a while ago. And I will give zero credit for that, is that they seem to engineer the bike with the idea of like, we don't ever want anyone to push this thing.
Yeah.
And the bounce on it is insane. So you hit the bottom and the thing finally quits running. And you park it. At least this is my SRF. You park it and you're like, okay, all right. Well, then you do some shit on your phone or, drink a beer or whatever. And then you turn the bike on and you're like, oh, 4%. And you magically have like 8 more miles of range.
And
you're
the
like,
harder you run it and the colder it is, the more bounce you get.
the more bounce you get. Absolutely.
Which is odd,
so
but that's
fucking
the
weird.
truth.
I don't know who wrote, and if you talk to Morgan Vetter about this, he will just scream about like how zero should be drawn and quartered for their state of charge meter, their phantom power thing or whatever. He hates it. Not me. I love it. It caters to the forgetful.
I have a dumb lizard brain. If I get down to zero, I want to know that I'm not lost.
It's like Honda. Everything goes off. You go down there, each shit light's blinking, low fuel light's blinking.
Yeah.
It's like doing this countdown till death. Like you're going to be hung in 8 miles.
Right.
It gets down to zero and there's still half a gallon left.
Exactly.
I mean, Honda does the same thing.
Absolutely.
And I'd rather have it like that.
I would too.
Instead of that bike I loved. But I got rid of that Kimco. It's like each shit light comes on and then it dies.
Yeah. Well, because
Sorry, you're fucked. It should be the F light.
It literally just says you should be looking at a gas station right now.
Yeah.
If you can't see the gas station, you're fucked.
I just rode my GS across the country.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was living in Reno. I had a bike out there, my 96 GS. I had to ride it across the country to get here. And I had the opposite where it was like the light would come on. There'd still be 3 gallons in the tank.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather have it like that.
Yeah,
I
would
would
too. The world of Vespa and the world of Honda is just like customers like, wait a second. So I pulled into the gas station because the little light was on my dashboard. Yeah. And I could only put in 0.8 of a gallon. And this thing advertises a 2.3 gallon tank.
Yep.
I'm like, it has a 2.3 gallon tank, but I could only put in 0.8 of a gallon. Yeah. Wait longer next time. What?
Ride
wait
another
longer.
80 miles.
Ride another 80 miles. Really get that fucker purple. Like really choke it out.
The Super Cub's 1 gallon.
It is.
And the light comes on at
A half gallon.
At a half gallon.
At a half gallon.
So you
Oh,
use
I know.
half a gallon.
Even my Super Cub is a super Cub. It's got all the Yoshi shit on the ECU mod. It's 62, 64 miles per hour. But that being said, it's still when you're having a problem light comes on or your fuel's depleted. No, just keep going. You're fine. You can't run that motherfucker out of gas. I tried to run the Hunter Cub out of gas because I have that fancy gas can on the side of it. The spare tank is so beautiful. I'm like, you got to use that. Well, no, I couldn't. I tried. I came to work like the thing was just flashing E at me, and I was like, still made it all the way to work and all the way home, 40 miles, no problem, easy.
Yeah, because that's what you want, though.
It
You
is.
don't ever want to get stuck.
Thank you. Do you know what engineers are here for? To prevent me from hurting myself. That's exactly right. Yeah. The owner's manual? Fuck that owner's manual. Right?
None of that matters if your friends don't tell you that there's no gas stations between the brewery and their fucking
I
house.
told you to put gas in that fucking bike, and you didn't listen to me. I told you exactly how many miles it would be, so you ran out, and it was exactly what I said.
exactly right.
Hey, Hoff, he's like one of your kids. He doesn't listen to you.
Yeah, and he wants money, too. He wants me to run home and get him gas.
He's like all of his employees, too.
Is that ethanol free? You're going to go bring me some gas. Has it got no ethanol? Yeah.
Yeah, give me good shit.
Oh, yeah, you still owe me for that gas, by the way.
Oh, great. Oh, open wounds.
But is it an investment? Because now that gas it's worth like 10 times as much.
That's how I operate, buddy. How long you guess? 10 years
You
ago.
owe me
and I
$5
got
for the gas. Okay.
No, I go in gallons.
Yeah, he goes in gallons, so the price matters.
That half gallon's now worth $2.
So tomorrow I'm going to be on the news. So tomorrow WKYC is going to be here at the shop. I try to get him here earlier before the customers show up because that'll be a fucking lame fuck around. So I'm trying desperately to get him to show up early. But you do know that, the news story, the whole news, like the whole planet right now is all about gas prices. And it's so fucking hilarious that news stations are calling me and they're like, so are you making $1 billion a year now that gas is $5 a gallon? I'm like, yeah, but we're also in a supply chain problem. So the best Honda dealers here in town are telling people it'll be 6 months or a year until you get your bike. You can't make money. You can't pay the bills with a $500 deposit.
I ended up with a live wire because I couldn't get a Grom.
Yeah.
So they're coming
Wait a
before
second.
6.
I got a $17,000 line item I need to justify here. I tried to get that Grom, but
No, honestly, I put in orders for Groms and they were like, yeah, good luck, dude. You're not getting one.
no.
Right.
That's
I know people at Honda and I still can't get a Grom.
nobody can get a Grom right now. We're getting the TNTs, so we've been selling the shit out of TNT 135s. We all love them. We have them. We ride them. They're great.
Much better bike.
But here's what's fun. Well, okay, they are, but anyway. But here's the hilarious part is I've been kind of like staying on the down low about it because you never know when the pump's going to run dry. So I call my rep and I'm like, yeah, I need like 18 more TNTs. You need what? I need 18 more TNTs. Holy fuck, man. I'm like, yeah, I need 18 more TNTs. Okay, all right, we'll work something out. Call him up a month later. I need 24 more TNTs. What the fuck, man? I'm like, yeah, we're okay, all right. So he calls me up and he goes, hey, man, I'm just letting you know, we're totally out of green TNTs. There are no more. I have 6 more that we're using for show, like going to go to the show circuit kind of thing with. I was like, okay. He's like, but if you want them and you can do them right now, I'll sell them to you. I'll take them. So, okay. So he's like, sends the thing out. Phil just bought all the green TNTs. Be angry at him. Fuck you. Right. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That's fun. So then I get a little, like, I get nervous when I have less than 4 of something. So I was like, okay, I need more white TNTs. He's like, we have 6. I was like, I'll take them all. Phil just bought all the white TNTs. Be angry at him. So last night I got the message. We have 6 red TNTs left and then nothing till 2023. I was like, I'll take them all. And so he was okay. I paid for him and he calls me back and he's like, I need 2 of those to go to Texas for a show. I'm like, fuck you. I bought them.
Build more.
Hey, it's goddamn June 9th. You can't be out of bikes. Well, Honda was out of bikes 4 months ago.
No, they were out of bikes last year
That's also true.
for this year.
That's also true. Yeah. So that problem that, we're all having, the motorcycle industry right now is a giant fucking gaping flesh wound right now. It's
So
a
when's
bad scene.
WKYC coming in?
They're coming in tomorrow. I think it's 11 o'clock-ish or something like that. So they're going to, I'm going to try to get them in early. But the point is, what does he want to talk about? Gas prices. He wants to talk about, and in 2008.
Oh, Holly?
Holly Strano, that slut.
Oh my
That's
God.
the only good. That's the only thing
my
good about
God.
WKYC.
This is Neil Fisher, whatever
God.
a Neil Fisher is. I don't know what a Neil Fisher is.
Holly
but-
Strano used to live on my street when I lived in Bainbridge, and her husband, this guy, before she divorced him for like that bar guy that she got in Florida.
What?
He was a stay-at-home dad, and I'd get home from work, and he'd come down, and he'd be like, "What's going on, man?" I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Nothing. I had to clean. She gave me a list." Like she was, just she was
Hey,
a
man.
terrible human being, man.
So this guy's coming to my shop tomorrow.
I don't want to marry her.
Yeah. This paragon of stick mic journalism. He's coming to my shop tomorrow, and we're going to talk about electric.
Who's this? Louis Rice?
No, Neil Fisher.
Oh,
Why
Neil
does it
Fisher.
look like he farted and you smelled it and he's like being sneaky?
I don't know, dude. I don't know shit about shit when it comes to this kind of stuff. I honestly know nothing about it. I don't, and I don't care to know anything about it. I mean, like, media and me don't get along at all.
Say all this stupid shit.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. So, right.
Do you know that more people get killed on scooters daily than any other thing in the country right now? Just do what they say.
Same guy.
We need scooter control.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't need gun control. We need scooter control.
Hey, man.
We need a scooter man.
Do you know what I know is every time Kicking It with Kenny comes to my shop at 0700 in the goddamn morning, my phone starts ringing and won't stop.
Let's walk.
Man,
You should only speak to him in like used cars commercial.
that's the other thing. Is like,
Hey, welcome to Phil's Scooter Emporium.
That's right, yeah.
We have a mile of scooters.
that's right. Welcome to Slappy McPickledicks. We're here to tell you about the greatest deal ever in small
Have James
scooters.
dressed
We're
up
going to
as
give you
bananas
150 miles per gallon. We got mopeds for the
Arrow.
kids.
Hey.
You should wear a plaid leisure suit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this is as
With
good
a
as it
tie
gets.
that's tied like up to here.
If you go back and look in 2008, the last gas crisis we had, I'm sure all the YouTube videos are still up from all the interviews I did with the local media outlets back then too. And people come in and they're like, so you can ride these mopeds just anywhere, right? Yeah, sidewalks, baptismals, bar mitzvahs,
Right
whatever the
through
fuck
your
you got,
church.
man. Go for it. Bring it on. You know you can drink and drive on these too. Totally legal. Right. Yeah.
They have cup holders.
They have cup holders. Yeah, whatever. So, but that's the thing. And like, this is that moment where like every blind squirrel finds a nut occasionally. And this is what that is. And so every once in a while they kick a rock. So on Monday, I came into the shop to, we're closed on Sunday and Monday, but I don't ever stop working. So I'm in here on Monday and James goes, hey, you just missed a call from Channel 5. What? Oh yeah, they were going to come in and they were going to do something on electric vehicles. Well, they went to Rock and Roll Harley Davidson instead because they picked up the phone. And I watched it. Oh. Anytime a media person starts talking about electric motorcycles or electric vehicles, you can hear the eye roll of the entire electric vehicle community, the collective communal eye roll, when they're like, when the facts just start coming out as just vague assumptions.
They don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
They have no idea. Isn't it true that Cleveland just installed 4,600 free charging stations? Yes. Sure.
Why not?
Great. Why not?
Actually, it was 6,600.
Well, yeah, those super secret ones, if you're in the Illuminati, you get a special ring for those, and you put your ring in and you get free power. Yeah. Yeah, these are level 4 charging. They charge in 7 seconds. Yeah. That's all you need. It's good to go. You can charge this at home in your dryer. Just take the battery out, put it in the dryer. Now, the little scooters, they run on static electricity. You just rub them on the carpet. They go like hell.
You bring a cat with you, it'll run
They
forever.
run forever. But I can only imagine what I'm up against tomorrow, so we'll see. So it'll be fun. But it's always a good time. It's always very interesting. And then the phone always erupts. But now we have a problem because we have social media-based reviews.
Oh.
So I've had negative reviews because people's court. Like, people give me a negative review at the shop for a case I won on the people's court because they disagreed with Judge Milan. And like, well, I don't think Judge Milan is right, so I'm going to give this guy a 1-star review.
You should
So
have
he
a
may have
bucket
won
of
on the
electrons.
people's court, but he loses with me. What's that?
You need a bucket of electrons.
A bucket of electrons, a really good
pour
one.
the electrons.
Come in and pour the
into
electrons into the top. Yeah. So how do you charge this? Well, I'm glad you asked. Are you familiar with propane?
Propane accessories.
Propane and propane accessories.
They got to bring out that. You ever see the thing where they take the cat and they put a piece of peanut butter bread on the back of them?
Yeah.
Because bread will always land on the peanut
Yeah.
butter, but
The
cats always land on the
top
feet.
up. It's a
So
perpetual
it starts to
motion
spin
machine.
and it creates energy.
Well, I installed a windmill on my motorcycle.
There you go.
It charges while I'm riding.
One of our customers made me a hard hat that has a propeller on it and some LED lighting.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. A solar
That's
panel,
cool.
a propeller, and some LED lighting. And he goes, yeah, this is for the electric powered buddy scooters.
Well, you have that you still have a couple, I think, from like 1989
Yeah.
on the shelf over there.
Yeah.
The additions to the helmet that has the fan and it makes a LED stoplight.
Talk amongst yourself. I'm going to go get the world's greatest innovation in motorcycle rider safety.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
I've always looked at that for the last 20 years coming
Longingly.
into your shops. Yeah.
Talk amongst yourself.
This thing is pretty amazing. Have you seen? You know what I'm talking about, right? No, I haven't seen it. It's awesome. It's like it's a shark fin that you can put on the top of your helmet, and the front of it has a hole so that it has a fan,
Little turbine.
and then that in turn turns a generator or whatever, a motor, and then lights up an LED.
Yeah, well,
You have like a little tail light on the back of your helmet.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
do-
It's just a running light, not a stoplight.
Yeah, no, it's just
Right,
a running
yeah.
light.
They
I
have
don't
those
think
on sailboats too. The prop turns backwards when you're going, if you're under sail, and it charges your batteries.
Oh, nice.
So, are you guys familiar with a little helmet company called HJC?
Yeah.
They're pretty reliable. They're not known for lame ass fuckery. No, they're legit. You'd think if somebody says, I'm going to give you an HJC helmet accessory, you'd be like, that's going to be legit. Yeah. I'm not going to have any problems with that. Unless, of course, it's the wind light. Turbine-powered LED lights. Wind-powered, no batteries required. Get noticed, it says, try this. Ready?
I'm an expert. Oh, you're an expert.
Oh, that works.
It fucking works. And I tell you, shelf life, 20 plus years. Legit.
It was closed out at $15 7 years ago.
It was original MSRP of $29.99, Copex. Simply affix the wind light using the supplied adhesive tape provided. And literally water resistance, maintenance free. It gives you a guide for the optimum position. And it says, do not attempt to remove and reposition. Not recommended for heavy rain or freezing conditions. Like you could do anything about
Yeah.
it. Right.
No
But
batteries required.
If I had $1 for every time I got stuck in rain or freezing conditions,
Exactly.
I'd have like
Yeah.
$600.
But I will pass this around to anybody who wants to play with it.
I'll give you MSRP for it, right?
Oh no, you don't need to. You can see what it's been marked down to, my friend. Yeah.
Close out.
We're taking a 21% loss on the current pricing. In fact, every time I sell one, it's my gift to you.
Phenomenal.
Right.
Jeez,
I
that's
think
so
that
cool.
if I was single, I would use that as my
That
bait.
should be the Cleveland Moto special buy of the week.
No, but for those of you haters, I have a full
Buy this or no?
John. If you promise to put it on your helmet, you can have it.
I'll put it on my helmet right now.
I will give you one. So,
But wait, can we
It
take
works.
it to bars and see if we have potential dates? Like whoever can light it up.
right, who can light it up the most?
Is this your last one or do you have more?
I have more, John. I have more.
Want to hear a joke?
Phil invested deeply.
Chris, do I want to hear a joke?
We want to hear
joke?
John's joke.
Only on days that end in Y. As in, why aren't you telling me a joke right now?
So a guy is late for an important meeting, but he can't find a place to park. In desperation, he begins to pray, please, Lord, if you help me find a parking spot right now, I promise to go to church every Sunday and never drink vodka again. A moment later, he sees a beautiful empty parking spot right next to the entrance. Never mind, I found one.
Vodka. Speaking of vodka and other clear liquors, Eric Baum, one of our podcast listeners, showed up. Remember when I read you guys this awesome email the other day, other podcast, about a guy who was like, hey, look, I listened to your podcast. So I know the rules. I'm going to call and make an appointment. I'm going to
that
show
guy.
up.
Yeah,
I'm going to show up,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm going to be invisible. You're not even going to know I'm here. I'm going to just wander around the shop like a phantom mist.
He wanted cool guy status.
And he
Just be
wanted cool guy status, right?
yeah.
He just wanted cool guy status. And that's all he cared about. And God bless him, man. Like, he legit straight up knew the rules. All right? That's cool. And I love that fact. I mean, I just love that whole jam. And he says, I wanted to pop up on a Friday or Saturday to look at the Vespa 300s. I see that you're only by appointment, but I wondered if you guys could shoot me an email or text when you know you'll have a few appointments and the doors would be open. I promise not to get in the way. I know you're busy. I would like to just familiarize myself with them in person. Probably won't be purchasing one from you until mid-July or September. Thank you for your valuable time. And if this is unreasonable a request, I do apologize. My intention is not to make the douche designation, but to be a cool guy. Okay, that's when I know I'm coming in a little hard on our podcast. That's when I know that I might be over. We are all friends.
Yeah.
We know, but
You're not using the flaps. You're coming in.
I'm coming in hot.
Yeah.
I'm coming in a slip. I'm coming in hot. No flaps. We're gonna run this bitch all the way out to the end of the runway. But he came in, and not only did he come in, but he brought a bottle of liquor.
Wow.
And he asked ahead of time, should it be brown liquor? And I said, no, we have no more room on the top of the refrigerator for brown liquor. He brought a handle of Bacardi rum.
Nice.
John?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So now we're gonna be able to make party drinks, right? So we'll make some kind of fun punch.
Because Crybaby can't drink brown liquor.
Suck it.
He showed up with a brown paper bag, and so we have listeners and people that show up with brown paper bags, but this brown paper bag was fun sized. I mean, well, all the fun sized, and James is like, "What the fuck is in there? A gun or a bomb or what?" And I was like, I opened it up, and it's a giant handle of Bacardi, and I'm like, "No, that's."
Happiness.
That is sunshine and chocolate. That is all the good things. We're not pretentious when it comes to our rum. We believe that the best ingredient for rum is fruit. A lot of fruit, and nothing gets fruitier than our podcast. So you want to know what this fucking lunatic does? Mm-hmm. He buys a goddamn GTS 300.
Oh, wow.
Really?
You talk about... You talk about
good customers.
You talk about under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
This motherfucker under promised and over delivered. That's when he's like, I got an average size cock, and then just blows you away. Yeah. He's like, okay, here comes the tape measure. All right, just enough to win, boys. Just enough to win. He blew us the fuck away, and he did. He straight up bought a fucking brand new Vespa. Go figure. Never happens. But I thought that was badass. Podcast listeners, go figure. So I didn't see it coming. Did you see it coming? I didn't see it coming. Yeah.
Your buyer education program has been working.
It is working.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Tough love works.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the rule here. John Minikowski, one of our podcast Patreons. Gotta love motherfuckers who give us money to buy pizza and drinks. Gotta love that. Keep the cards and letters coming. Really dumb question. Growing up when charging batteries, I was always told to remove and secure the positive, then remove the negative. Most of the new videos show disconnecting the negative first. What are your thoughts? Jump starts were always negative first, then positive. Was I taught the wrong way?
Negative. Take the negative off, because when you take the positive off and you touch anything metal, you're going to go direct short.
Thank you. Right.
But also, you never go to the battery with the negative jump. You go to a frame.
Always put the positive on first, because the negative is not yet part of the operation. So when you're putting a battery in, you put the positive on first, because anything you touch the negative to by accident is supposed to be negative ground.
And like old Hondas are like, the frame is literally right there.
It's right by the terminal.
You would literally have to touch the frame with the screwdriver.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
You can weld
Guaranteed.
real quick.
You can instantly become a welder.
Unless,
Just like that.
Unless, of course, if it's positive ground,
Right.
which I don't think any 12-volt systems are positive
No,
ground. It's all
we're not going to talk
6-volt.
about that. Right, yeah.
But positive ground would be the opposite.
So they're like the Marines. The first in, the last out. The positive terminals like the Marines. They're the first in and they're the last out. So just remember that. So you can take off your negative terminal first, because you take your negative terminal off. Then if the battery happens to hit the frame rail or something while you're jostling it around, nobody cares. So first in, so when the battery's going in, the positive is first. When the battery's coming out, the positive is last. When you're jumping positives to positives, the donor vehicle gets the negative jumper, the negative terminal on the jumper cables, and then the victim vehicle, the recipient,
The bottom.
the bottom,
Just a quick little
the
note
power
on,
bottom goes to the frame.
Right.
Just a little
Or
quick
chassis.
note on that.
Yeah.
Make sure you go right to where the terminal is connecting to the battery post.
Yep.
Don't go back here to another part of it, because there's a fusible link
Yes, there
in
is.
there, especially
Absolutely.
like on Fords and stuff.
Yep.
And when you go to jump, you could actually kill.
Oh, you're going to kill it.
You blow that
Yeah.
fusible link, and
Yep.
now the jumping vehicle,
Yep.
it needs jumped.
Absolutely.
Actually, it needs the fusible link replaced before it'll ever stop.
Oh, absolutely.
And also, turn your donor. The donor vehicle should have its lights on to absorb the surge,
It's not a bad idea, because on most vehicles that are running non-LED lights,
or your fan, or
Right,
whatever.
right. Something is going to be the surge. Something's going to take the bump, because that is what. And also, it doesn't help you to have the donor vehicle running. If the donor vehicle is running, what can happen is, soon as you hook up the victim vehicle, the voltage regulator from the donor vehicle sees this incredible load, and the voltage regulator in the donor vehicle goes max full overcharge, which can sometimes murder the voltage regulator in the donor vehicle, which we've seen that happen a bunch of times. Or like you said, it'll blow out the diodes in the alternator. Because that, your alternator in that vehicle has never seen that kind of a load before. So wait, you're hooking me to a 300 amp battery that has 7 volts. And I'm going to try to charge that motherfucker with my diode that's inside my alternator and my voltage regulator if it's a motorcycle.
You're telling me Uncle Rufus was wrong when he had his car on the 2-step going, bah, 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 bah. All right, hook it up now.
Right, hook it up now.
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
Because most alternators are just maintenance.
They're maintenance charging. That's exactly right. The health of the battery has way more to do with how much you rev. And then super secret tip from your Unkie Phil, Mo conductas the beta. So if you've got 1 set of jumper cables, golf clap. If you've got 3 sets of jumper cables, watch that bitch start.
If you got 1 set of rusty, old, nasty jumper cables that were sitting in water in your trunk.
I have proved that the battery tender leads, those little ridiculous 18 gauge battery tender leads, that you can back them up to each other and have like 6 sets of them, and that is equal to a set of 8 gauge jumper cables. And it's remarkable how much better something will jump if you take the time to throw more copper at the problem. Have you guys seen the video of the guys jump starting 2 military vehicles using AK-47s? Ass to ass? Oh, you didn't? No. Oh, okay. Glad you asked. Yeah, so, AK-47s are made of metal, right? And so there's a video about how to jumpstart a car with an AK-47. And the trick is it's not really just one AK-47. You need more of them than one. But the good news with AK-47s is in the industry, there's a bunch of them around. If there's one AK-47, there's bound to be 9 or 10 of you assholes with them. So the trick is basically all you're using them as is a piece of metal, right? So, and that's
your stripper clips out of them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's all it is. So you can see right here, we've got gentleman 1 with the AK-47 is using the dipstick. So the cleaning rod on the AK, so the cleaning rod on the AK is going to the AK, and then the other guy's buttstock of the AK is going to the negative terminal. So all the positive electrons are running through AK number 1, and all the negative electrons are running through AK number 2. Mission accomplished, car started. Damn. Metal is metal. You can't stop metal from being conductive.
And now the firing pin is welded shut.
The only problem is the round isn't going to detonate. It's not going to detonate, but the point is we all know that where the arc happens is welding. Yep. So you might never get that cleaning rod off the end of that barrel, or at least not today. So anyway, I thought that was fun. I thought you might like that. You can jumpstart cars with AK-47s. You can jumpstart
Mine is a bayonet, so it makes it easier.
Yeah, bayonets are good too. In the Army, our trick was when we had the old Jeeps, there used to be this Jeep called the M151 Jeep. And it was...
the Rocksta.
What's that?
It's the Rocksta.
Almost a Rocksta. So the Jeep was called the M151. That was the Jeep that we had in the military when I was in and dinosaurs roamed the earth. So we had these before the Humvees came along. And the trick was you would park the Jeep with the tow pintle on the wheel. So the hub of the wheel has a little tow pintle so you can load it in a helicopter. And then you would take the wire that goes into the turn signal light or the running light, and you would unplug it from your Jeep and plug it into your buddy's Jeep with the dead battery. And you leave it that way. And you just go have a beer or a cigarette or whatever. And so you'd go have a cigarette and all the electrons would leak out of the good Jeep into the bad Jeep. Well, half of them would. And the batteries would equalize. And then you go over and start the bad Jeep simply by parking them nut to nut.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's docking. Right. So that's how you do it. Yeah. And you can do it. You can jumpstart a Jeep without jumper
for
cable.
Jeeps.
It really is. Yeah. You just kind of park them next to each other and get them to know each other for a little while. Super fun. That's good stuff. I like that. So Mid-Ohio's coming up.
Yep.
We're all Oscar was talking some mad shit about selling his Trail 110.
You're skipping like 2 events there.
Oh, am I now?
How much do you want for that?
Skipping the Lake Erie Loop and you're skipping Bandcamp.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'm not talking about Bandcamp. You know what? I'm not talking about Bandcamp. I don't want to curse that shit, man.
Okay.
Because Bandcamp's been real sensitive. Like, there was no Bandcamp last year. There was no Bandcamp the year before. We're being real careful about Bandcamp. Like, you say the wrong thing and COVID could go like, fuck you. I'll show you Bandcamp. You've been waiting for 3 years? You're my bitch now. Now, Lake Erie Loop. Tell us about Lake Erie Loop, John. What is ClevelandMoto going to do for Lake Erie Loop?
We're sending in, I think, a 3-man team. Sponsored by Sleepy Cinch Hollows condominiumizers. Condominiumizers.
Condominimizers. Does that make condoms smaller?
Yes, it does.
It's a condominimizer?
Yeah. For
In case your condom was too big.
For those of you less endowed, he's got some condominimizers.
Condominimizers.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I found a need and I filled it.
And you filled it.
But it looks like we're going to be at 6 a.m. Saturday morning.
As
leaving
in Dark 30.
Claramar Campground.
Yeah.
It's not really going to be a Lake Erie loop because we can't get up through Canada still. So
we still can't get through Canada.
I mean, you could try.
Oh, I don't think you can get through Canada.
But it's not a good idea.
Right.
So it's going to go from New London or Wellington, Ohio.
Yeah, Wellington,
Claramar
Ohio.
Campground.
Yep.
Down to New Philadelphia, over to Coshocton, over to Circleville, and then up through, the western part of Ohio,
Right.
to Kenton, Ohio.
Yep.
And background.
Yeah, it's basically doing a loop of Ohio.
It's about 400 miles, so it's knocking about 250 miles off of a regular Lake Erie loop. So it should be a walk in the park.
Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't be any problem at all. I mean, everybody's bikes can go.
What are the rules of this event?
Oh, boy, you're going to like this.
I mean, there's 3 classes. Well, there's actually 4 classes now, but there's a 50cc class, a 125cc class, a 200cc class, and now a 250cc class. That's the simple. There's more details to follow, but
I could 250 class.
well, yeah, you could.
Yep, you can.
But they said something about no enduros, which I thought was stupid. They asked me about the 250 rules when they were setting up the class, and they didn't listen to me, and whatever. I'm not.
Well, so is my TNT in the 125 class or 130?
135.
So it'd be the 200 class then.
Ha ha.
Oh,
The
the
rules
buddy
set up to
too,
fuck
right?
you.
No, the buddy's in 125.
Buddy's
Oh, it's
125.
125.
Yeah.
But I really wouldn't worry about it. They have
Yeah.
26 trophies, and they're all getting passed out.
I was going to say there's 26 trophies and 24 entrants.
Participation awards.
Yeah. So, and then other people, you can also go as a tourist class.
Right.
Some people, it benefits aluminum cans for burned children.
Right.
And so that's.
So all the burned kids get all the aluminum cans they can handle.
They really like the beer cans when there's still a little bit of beer left in them.
Because they're cold.
My first bike was a 83 Honda MB5.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
50.
Yep.
MB5s have showed
Yes, they
the
have.
Lake Erie Loop.
Still have it, so I need to try and get it here for that event next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. But, it's
yeah.
fun. It's it's a great day. Just if you want to get out and just spend a day riding your nuts off, here you go.
Yep.
This is the trip for you.
Yeah, and it's
150
funny.
miles on the 50.
Our friend Stefan did 26 hours on a Zuma or a Riva or Vino 50.
It was a Vino 50,
Vino, yep.
26 hours and 19 layers of clothing. So when he started, he was wearing clothes, but it was a particularly cold June 6th. By the time he got back, John and I were strategically trying to delay the awards ceremony by basically being assholes. Because John and I got home first. John got home first. I got home right behind John. He came in first place. I came in
All
second.
because you had a poop.
One poop stop will fuck you on this race. Not joking.
I mean, Phil was the leader the whole way around.
I did not. Nobody passed
Then
me.
nature called.
And then nature called, and I had to go into the truck stop on the turnpike to drop a deuce. And I'm pulling my pants up, and I hear this go by, and I run out, and I see this fucking him on a CM 200 CB 200, and I'm like,
Seriously?
and I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I couldn't take one shit. My back teeth were floating. There was nothing I could do. I had a turtle head poking out. I was in bad shape.
Just go.
Yeah, right?
Just go.
I fed my
Like the
bike.
runners. He's like the thing with the shit.
I knew we were hunting you, though. We were like, the only person we haven't seen is Phil. We haven't seen him at all. That means he's in front. So it was pretty much, I would pull over. My brother would come up, dump fuel on my bike, and I'd take off again.
Right.
And we just kept hitting it like that. And
Yeah.
I knew we'd catch you.
Yeah.
Cheater.
Yeah, so he had a sag truck. That's not even fair.
This is what John was riding.
It's not against the rules, so
Okay.
it's fair.
This is what John was riding. That looks like a legit racing vehicle, doesn't it?
Dustbin fairing.
I mean, that looks
Fucking
legit. That's a
custom
cool looking
exhaust.
motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope this picture comes up. I hope to God this picture comes up. Because what I was riding was slightly less intimidating. Yeah. What I was riding, well, wasn't so intimidating. Yeah. I'm riding a Buddy 125, and I had him beat for
10 hours.
Yeah, 10 hours. Yeah. For 10 hours of the race, I had him beat, and then I had to poo. And then when I had to poo, he got
was your
past me,
downfall.
and I couldn't catch him. I tried like shit. I couldn't catch him. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't catch him.
And you were 2 pounds lighter.
Yeah, I was lighter. Right. And the whole thing. And I mean, at this point, I knew who passed me.
I had no mufflers.
And he was in a different class. So honestly, I was going to get first place in my class. He was going to get first place in his class.
The only thing that matters, though, is best overall.
Best overall, right? And I was so angry. And I mean, we're going through construction areas, and I'm on the wrong sides of the barrels. I'm like in neighborhoods on streets and or sidewalks and shit. And I couldn't fucking catch him for anything. And you passed me in New York, right?
Once I saw
Angola?
you, it was like,
Yeah. He passed me, I think, Angola, New York.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so he passed me just this side of Buffalo. So when he passed me, it took him a whole lake to catch me. But
Well, I
then
had like
once he caught me, I couldn't
I had
get him
a half
back.
hour to an hour fucking around tearing
Yeah.
my exhaust pipes off.
Yeah.
Running straight headers.
Yeah, it was terrible. And whatever the time difference was between when you came in, when I came in,
It wasn't big.
it wasn't big at all. And it was straight up like
Wow.
after 10 or 12 hours on the motorcycle, your legs don't work anymore. And I straight up got off the bike and I fell off my ass. Like,
And then you start shivering because
Yeah.
it's like, even though it wasn't really that cold, you've had 11 hours. It was 11 hours and 35 minutes of
the wind.
exposure.
Of wind
and
chill.
that,
yeah.
and I felt like I had been in a gimp cage because I had turned this Buddy 125 scooter into a suppository, and I was locked in a tuck. There's no windshield on that bike. There's nothing. I had a Sharpie marker and I was writing all my notes on the speedometer so I could estimate my time over distance and my fuel. And when I came into the campsite, I was done. There was nothing left of the bike. There was nothing left of me. And all I wanted to do was hate him, because it would have been so spectacular to come in as the underdog on a pink fucking scooter and win the bitch. But no, John had to win it. So there you go. Yeah. Do you see this picture? See the guy behind me? That's what it looks like to lose to a Buddy 125. That's the hateful look on your face when you lose to a Buddy 125.
And that dude probably is like Bruce, where he
Everything in his life is about the Lake Erie Loop.
Yeah, and he spent 7 months creating a hand-formed dustbin fairing for his fucking...
No, that guy in the background of the picture is the son of the guy who invented the Lake Erie Loop.
Oh, nice.
So he's literally living in the shadow of the Lake Erie Loop.
Yeah.
He didn't get a good Christmas because of the Lake Erie Loop. Right. Yeah. That's true. That's... It's more fun to say it that way, though. It's great to say he was neglected because of the Lake Erie Loop. But yeah, that
He's the one who always someday I'm going to build the ultimate Lake Erie Loop bike and make my dad proud. That is...
That's absolutely true. And then to get his ass handed to him by an asshole on a brand new Buddy 125 who was drinking until 7 seconds before the race started.
We were standing, and it was pouring down rain, and we were standing underneath it on a picnic table holding down the Easy Up drinking.
Yep.
And they're like, well, it's time to get ready to go, boys. We're like, really? Okay.
Oh, shit. Were we supposed to sleep? I was like, it's pretty cold. I'm going to put another pair of pants on. And that was the most underprepared I've ever been for a motorcycle endurance event. Because I was like, well, even if I do it wrong, it's 12 hours. Even if I go slow, it's only 660 miles. So I was like, 660 miles is nothing. That's not a big deal. But then I forgot to factor in I was riding a 125cc bike. I was like, oh, my math is wrong.
Yeah, because your average speed is probably 50 miles an hour.
I managed to, so if you look at my data, all my data that I kept, because this was the first time anybody had ever used a Buddy 125 in anger. All my data, I did an average speed. So of the entire event, duration of the event, my average speed was over 60 miles per hour.
That is awesome.
Which is fucking possible.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's impossible. So that I and my highest speed recorded was 72 miles per hour. So and I was using GPS, not Speedo.
You were pinned for
Constantly. I was never
12
not
hours.
pinned. I was just pinned the entire time.
Wow.
And the only thing
it's pinned and then trying to draft
Drafting.
off of anything you can
The only
find.
thing that changed my results was drafting. And I could watch my GPS pull me up to 72.7 miles per hour just because I was drafting behind a truck.
Well, I could draft behind John all day.
Won't be the first time.
Ouch, man. Ouch.
Oh yeah, he helped me in New York. I mean,
Yeah.
He was riding my XT250, and I would just get in right behind him, and we could get up to like what 65 or something, 65 miles an hour.
Wow, yeah.
That was great. I mean, that was really fun.
As far as I'm concerned, like that's the kind of thing. It's what this situation calls for is a bizarre and futile gesture. And that's what the Lake Erie Loop is. It is a completely pointless because you're stopping at the same place you started. But in between it, you're going to another stupid country. I mean, not saying Canada's a stupid country. I'm just saying the idea of going there.
So how long are you going to be here?
That was the joke. When I got to customs in the Ambassador Bridge in Detroit, and the customs official said, "So how long are you going to be in Canada?" I said, "As short as humanly possible." And he's like, "What?" And I said, "We're doing a rally for charity for aluminum cans for burned children. It's a charity for kids." And he goes, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're riding underpowered motorcycles on a circle around Lake Erie for charity. So how long are you going to be in Canada?" And I said, "Well, I figure about 5 hours, maybe 6. Did you bring anything in? You're looking at it, baby." Like, that was it. This is it. Would you like to inspect this? Because this is all I got, man.
Got any regulations for pythons?
It costed me time.
Yeah.
So our podcast listener, Michael Woods, asked a question for Oscar. What is your take on Gas Monkey sponsoring Hickman at the TT?
Oh,
It didn't
I saw
really
that.
bother me until they are interviewed and they said they have one first time out. Bit like McDonald's taking credit for Usain Bolt. As far as I can tell, their only contribution was the awful paint scheme.
Yeah.
Right? And so, okay, what is your opinion of Gas Monkey Garage coming in and literally
Makes no sense.
spending their way into the guy who won last year?
And it wasn't just Hickey. I think there was some other sidecar and some other riders that also won. Well, the sidecar actually did win, I think, also.
But is Gas Monkey Garage the guy with the goatee, the douchebag guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Richard Rollins.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Yeah, worse
He's
than
a
anything,
douche.
on top of this, he's also been buying collections out lately. He fucking bought the largest fucking vintage motorcycle collection out from some guy just to make a shit ton of money off of it. Like, he bought like 1,200 bikes off this fucking dude.
It's called an investment.
No,
Yeah,
but he's not part of the community. Like, he's not a
No, he's not.
motorcyclist. You
He's
know what
in
I'm
a-
saying? Like,
Well, it's just like
He
those
is
douche-
now.
It's just like those.
He's discovered
Just like
another
those guys
sweet
that-
tooth.
Right,
It's like,
exactly.
oh,
Right.
these bikes. Wow.
They
look
go
at
to-
Turns out I like cocaine. Who'd have thought?
I hate it. I just love the way it smells.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that is your chocolates and my peanut butter situation for Hickman. Yeah. Because the one thing, if you guys follow the Isle of Man, you'll know that there's not a lot of money in it.
No.
The guys who do the best in it are all broke because they can't stop spending money there or they're dead. So you either do it until you're broke or dead.
It's all about the
The whole Dunlop family.
Yeah.
So if you can get a sponsor, so if you can find like a crazy Saudi Arabian guy, or you can find a crazy African guy, or you can kind of find a crazy Prince of Nigeria that wants to sponsor you and put you on a motorcycle, you'll suck a Gas Monkey flavored dick if you have to for a while, because that guy, the guy who's literally has everything he wants to win the Isle of Man. When we saw him in his trailer, he was eating the equivalent of an MRE. He wasn't having food catered in like the BMW teams. Like the BMW teams have got 7 trailers in their own city, whereas
covered with the AC on the fucking thing. Yeah.
Like, who the hell brings a city's power grid to do a race? And
Yeah, that
the
was
answer is
crazy.
like, that's BMW's solution.
Germans.
The Germans.
Germans.
It's true.
But the color scheme does suck ass. It's a really I don't like it. It's,
Well, I like
a
Kawasaki green,
like
but the
spray
rest of
painted
it's
like
stupid.
shitty like graffiti style fucking logo. It looks.
everything that guy has done usually is
Well, you see what
gaudy
color
and-
that is? See the color?
Yeah.
You know what color that is? That's
Kawasaki.
BMW green.
Oh, BMW.
That's a BMW motorcycle.
Oh, nice.
So in case you weren't sure, you see that little tiny rondelle in the front?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a BMW motorcycle. I don't know who decided it should be Kawasaki green, but okay,
Probably
whatever.
Gasman.
I don't judge, right?
Yeah.
Because that's an M1000RR. But anywho,
But they made a lot of So Hickey was one, and then
Yeah.
the other one was McGinnis not
Right.
doing the Norden anymore.
right, exactly.
He's a Honda guy now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I mean,
It's-
Hickey's team last year was FHO Racing, which is like, nobody has ever heard of that ever, right? But Gas Monkey is a massive empire along the lines of, say, I don't know, West Coast Choppers or,
Yeah.
Orange County Choppers. I mean, that's, it's Discovery Channel famous. So
I think
Gas
in
Monkey
racing,
is Gas Monkey.
Take what money will get thrown at you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that's why if the Shah of Iran wants to sponsor your race team this year, you go for it. When you were watching last year's MotoGP that they were nice enough to put on Amazon, they did the whole series, which is great. I mean, great video. You saw that the guy that was running the team that ultimately by the end of the year got cut was what? He was not a guy who's like, he's not Brembo from Brembo Brakes. He's not, some motorcycle related product. He's miscellaneous Saudi Arabian prince, that happens to run a motorcycle team.
Miscellaneous prince.
I want to be sponsored by a Nigerian prince who's trying to cash in his family's wealth.
Send me $4,000 and I will let you get to my bank account that has $4 billion.
No,
Billion.
it's I need $20 million worth of expenses. How can I make $20 million disappear really quickly? And Team Ducati goes, so we're good at this.
Yeah, it's your 1,500-mile service.
Right. Team Ducati's like, oh, you need to make a whole lot of money disappear really quick. We have a whole department for that. Yeah, that's it.
So Phil, wait. So we saw the last electric race.
Yep.
They didn't bring it back this year.
Nope.
No zero
That's right.
electric races at all.
Yep.
And then the other thing, remember that number that's sticking
Number
up
19.
there?
That's right.
They took that thing down. It doesn't exist anymore.
I know. So that slate that we have hanging up on the wall, which is one of the hand-painted slates from the original Isle of Man scoreboard, which was run for ages, over 100 years, by the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of the Isle of Man. And it was a major component of the Isle of Man TT was the scoreboard. And the
took pictures
scoreboard
and all that stuff,
was a big deal. And I'm not saying that I stole one of the numbers off the scoreboard. I'm not saying that actually happened.
I didn't either.
Well, it's crazy because I read this article saying that they really wanted to bring it back, but they were missing
but they were
19.
missing the number 19.
Yeah, they tore it down in 2020.
Right. Yeah, but the
year after.
creepy, weird thing about like that scoreboard and why that number is significant is the day after we stole that number, the guy who was racing in that slot died.
So you killed him.
That was the only guy that died.
That was the only guy that died.
that,
So out of
that season.
the entire season, the entire running.
Because he was so distracted by losing his number.
Yeah, they didn't know what to call him.
Bad juju, man.
So
It'd be too much just to paint another one.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we were bored. It was raining. We had lack of stimulation. And
Yeah, there wasn't a race that day. We're
there
just
was not
fucking
a race
around
that
the
day.
paddock. Yeah.
But you can see the guys painting the actual numbers on the thing, and that's what's hanging on the wall back there is an actual slate from the original Isle of Man TT leaderboard. And it's hilarious. Well, hilarious.
Interesting.
It's interesting that the iconic thing of the Isle of Man for over 100 years
Yeah, the scoreboard, yeah.
was torn down because Oscar and I didn't show up.
And also, we didn't see the blue helmets that year because there was raining.
The purple helmets.
So the
Yeah, the purple helmets,
So this year was
Purple
their
helmeted Love Warrior?
yeah,
was the last year that they are going to do any showing. That's it. They're done. They just did it like yesterday.
What?
I think yesterday
Is it
or a
really
couple days
over?
ago. Yeah.
Is it really,
It was
really
their
over?
last showing.
Oh,
this
I'm not
Island
happy
TT.
about that at all.
Yeah, they're done.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Purple helmets.
Yeah, the purple helmets are known for their motorcycle-based shenanigans. You should, by all means, look up purple helmet right now.
Careful.
I'm going to recommend using your kid's laptop from school.
Make sure the parrot watch is on.
Yeah.
But yeah, the purple helmets are the absolute shit. And and so
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, and they're done. So that's it. So
Last
that's
time.
another thing that is less fun at the Isle of Man because Oscar and Phil aren't there.
Yeah.
God damn it, man.
Yeah.
This is how it happens.
I saw a meme the other day, speaking of the Alaman TT. Somebody crashed their bike around here. And the guy's like, oh, I feel bad, but have you ever crashed your bike and then sat on a petrol can smoking a cigarette in your leathers? Because it was like Joey Dunlop. He crashed and he was sitting on this thing with gas pouring out, smoking a cigarette.
When McGinnis crashed, or McGinnis's bike decided it didn't want to be a motorcycle anymore and decided it wanted to be artwork.
At the Raven?
It was right when we were at the Raven, and we're like hanging out the Raven, being cool, like being like the super fans that we are, right front dead center. And he comes by. Here comes Joe McGinnis, and he's like, John McGinnis. He comes by and he's like, brrr, and the bike's totally dead because he was the only guy that didn't jump 70 feet on the fucking bridge, right? And he like farted out the bridge, and he comes out and like legit, he parks he leans the bike against the wall, and we're like, oh yeah, and he goes, anybody want to buy me a pint? I seem to have left my wallet in my other pants. Guy shows up 9 seconds later, and we're out doing our thing, like we're smoking and drinking, whatever. And he comes out and he's like, "You guys enjoying the races then, right?" And he's just like, and he instantly is like, "Anybody got a fag?" And like 97 cigarettes get thrown at him. It was so cool. And he's just hanging out watching the race with the rest of us now. And we're like, God damn it, this is the greatest event in motorsports. Because he's like, I'm done.
Yeah, what is he going to do at that point?
Nothing.
He's going to hang out and drink a beer and smoke cigarettes is what he's going to do. Yeah. When the bike he was on, the electric he was on crapped out. The electric wouldn't make the whole lap. So it crapped out way the fuck over, at the far north side of the course. And he wanted to make it in for the next motorcycle race, the super sport class. So he literally went up to somebody and went, I'm taking your scooter. Come and get it later in the paddock. And he did. He went and borrowed a Suzuki scooter off of some dude who just happened to be there. And he grabbed the scooter and went out onto an active raceway. Yes, an active raceway, a raceway that still had people racing on it.
At 180 miles an hour.
On an electric scooter.
Nice.
And got it all the way back to the paddock so he wouldn't miss the launch of the next race. And I was like, to be the guy who's just like, no, how am I going to get where I need to go?
Yeah.
It's fucking John McGinnis. You give him the fucking keys, man. Like, yeah, that's it. You give him the fucking keys. But Isle of Man is a very weird race. So it's just the whole thing's a weird place. It's a different planet. It's not long for this earth. But I was very happy that we got to see it when we did. Yeah. And then this year I've had a lot of heartbreak and a lot of heartache because I'm not there. So, yeah, so that's kind of weird.
We have to go back.
We got to go back. That's exactly right. We got to give it a year or so to heal. Because this year I think they're having some questions about they're not in the flow of things. This year was putting it together about slapdash. So we are game on for Mid-Ohio. In case anybody was wondering, I know you listen to this podcast because you want the Mid-Ohio report. It's fucking game on. Bring it like it hasn't been brought in a really long time. You need to do everything you can to get there. And then once you get there, remember that it will rain.
Yep.
It will be muddy.
Yep.
It will be 95 degrees and hot and sunny. It will get all the weather conditions. And you should bring more.
Smell like a pig farm.
Yep. You should bring more food than you think you need to bring. You should bring more liquor or beer than you think you need to bring.
You should make dehydrated liquor.
They do.
What if it was like, dude,
I have some beer in my car that has electrolytes in it.
What if it was like cosmic candy and you could just be like, bourbon?
Well, no, they did. Don't you remember? Like they had the dehydrated alcohol powder, and all the kids were dying. Like they were like snorting it and fucking getting mauled and stuff.
Well, there really is some dehydrated alcohol stuff.
Well, I think they stopped selling it now.
Yeah,
it was murdering people.
Yep.
Dude.
They sell it up at Speculator, New York.
Oh, they do. Oh, I get some.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, no, it was like
I remember
all
that.
these teenage kids were getting it because nobody knew what they were doing, and they were snorting it, and it was fucking them up, man.
Dehydrated alcohol problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, alcohol is the first thing that leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
When you unhydrate something, the alcohol leaves before the water does.
There's vaping alcohol. So
I don't
looked
know.
into that during the COVID thing about what if you filled your lungs with a hit of alcohol, held it there for a while, would it kill at least surface?
Kill the COVID?
That's actually a good way to kill yourself. It kills everything.
It can kill you with it.
It kills you too.
It's the roundup of the human body.
If you can't do it, what's your blood alcohol at
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. You got anything else for us, man?
So many things, but I'll have to come back for some other time.
Yeah, that's fine. You can throw anything you want at us. We'll see if it sticks.
No hate mail?
I'd like to read the back of his shirt. It says, "Go fast, don't die."
Go fast, don't die. Yeah, go fast, don't die. We created the ride fast, take chances thing.
Nice.
And just when we got into a bidding war over it with the guys from Lowbrow. So Lowbrow was like, "No, man, that's ours." And I was like, "No, that's ours. I did that a long time ago." And
Have fit tape from.
right, I was going to say, we have evidence of ride fast, don't take chances from a very, very long time ago. And then Will Stoner, who's 193 years old, wanders out, world-class motocross racer and everything else. Will Stoner comes out and he goes, "Fuck you, Phil. That's my thing. I was saying that in the 60s. And I'm like, you got to yield to that, man. Okay, it's Will Stoner's thing. That's fine. I ripped off Will Stoner. I'll take that shit. The one thing that one of our podcast listeners did chime in on the secret bat phone, Dave Grasso. He says, "I bought a CB700 SC as my first bike in college. That goddamn gear indicator ruined me for years. I never learned to pay attention to what gear I was in. I started doing track days on an SV650 and I had to relearn to pay attention." Yeah, fuck gear indicators. I gotta say, man, if you look, I know Chris, I know you're deferential to your GS450E Buck Rogers motorcycle.
Yes.
It does have a gear indicator.
Yes.
And I think they're in different colors even.
No.
Oh, they're not?
All red.
They're all red.
red. Yeah, my GS850s.
They're all red. And yours has one too.
Yeah.
However,
You're either in the wrong gear, right? Or the right gear. And if you're in the wrong gear, go up
Yeah.
or go down, situationally dependent. But I don't need to know that I'm in the wrong gear and it happens to be third. If I look down and go, I'm in the wrong gear, I have already lost because I looked down.
My bike doesn't have a gear indicator.
yeah.
No, it has ein gear.
Yeah.
I love like the whole world of electrics. Like, where's the clutch handle? Well, you can put one on if you want.
yeah,
if it'll make
right.
you feel better. Like, we'll give you some little thing to squeeze.
My
if it makes you
GS
feel better.
doesn't have one either. It actually doesn't even have a fuel indicator. It just has a dummy
A
light,
dummy light. Yeah.
which is fine.
I the number of people that come into my store for the past 22 years and say like, well, does it have a gear indicator?
I will admit it's kind of nice.
Is it really?
I like it.
Really?
I don't know. My problem, and I'm a dummy, but
Be bold. I like it. Don't apologize.
No, I'm apologizing for this because I learned the wrong way. When I come to a stop,
Right.
I clutch in,
Yeah.
and I sometimes will not downshift.
Well, fair enough.
And so I'll be stopped, and then I look down and go, "Oh,
Right.
I'm in fourth," or, whatever. So then I gotta like kick down.
Oh, I'd rather have the moment of embarrassment and then
Yeah,
furiously try to find the basement.
No, it teaches you how to use the clutch.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a gear indicator in my car. I put it in D, and it does that, whatever it does. It could be in 15th gear. I don't know.
My stick
No,
has
that's
little
first.
Stick
numbers
shift
on
has
it.
Phil.
numbers on it, but I'll never look at them.
No, that's first, third, or fifth.
When you're overdrive is when you're punching through the dashboard.
Yeah. So-
Anybody who drives 3 on the tree knows that shit. But yeah, I've never really understood the idea of like, oh, and the other question that everyone gets is like, does this have self-canceling turn signals? And I'm like, okay, stop.
Those are nice though.
I know that because you said that, that's some weird flex. Like, well, I've had Harley Davidsons. You know, it's like, does this Buddy 125 scooter
I had an
have
XS750.
exactly that
My
has
GS does it too.
canceling turn signals? And
From 96 it does it. Like,
look, man, I get it. Don't get me wrong, I get it. But because of non-self-canceling turn signals, I have developed what is the equivalent of a neurotic tick. Watch any of my YouTube videos. You will see me stabbing my turn signal button about once every 11 seconds.
I do
Because
that on my bike with
With-
automatic
I
canceling
know.
signals. I'm turning it off all the time.
I am riding my Harley Davidson, accidentally turning on the left turn signal because I'm canceling turn signals on other
I
motorcycles.
have done that.
Yeah.
I have done that.
Like,
I leave my turn signal on just
intentionally to fuck with them.
to fuck with John because it drives him fucking crazy. So I just leave it on like for 20 miles, you know. And he's
Whenever
like,
you ride with Steve, we're all going like this, trying to get him to fucking turn it off. But you guys were talking about electric bikes with
Doofus,
no
turn your
gears.
fucking turn signal off.
So
I leave it on just to bug you.
because I like to punish myself, I joined some groups on Facebook for the Africa Twin.
Yeah.
So the DTC is out. Great bike, like it's not my thing, but it's it works.
Totally.
So I saw the most ridiculous over $1,000 accessory for an Africa Twin DTC.
Whoa. For a dual clutch Africa Twin.
Yeah.
Which is already not a cheap bike.
No, but this is the most awesome thing ever. It is. They have to rewire it, but it's a factory thing. They can add a gear switch onto the bike so that instead of pushing the buttons, you can use your foot and then have a shiftable bike.
We had
Really,
that.
I had that.
Yeah, we had that on the Aprilia Mana like a long time ago.
But if you're buying a DTC, isn't the point that you didn't want to shift gears with your
no,
foot?
because with the Mana, we could shift with the button.
Yeah.
So we could do button shift, like to simulate
Or
having
foot shift.
a gearbox.
Yeah.
Or we could use the foot shifter, and they were both completely. So you could like shift
Do
up
one, yeah.
for this one, and then shift down with your foot. Like you could try to fuck the bike
because
up.
it's not mechanically attached. It's electric.
No. You're just pushing electrons in different
I
directions.
thought that
yeah.
was the dumb. Like, then why didn't you just buy a fucking normal one and save $5,000?
Well, they also had a simulated clutch lever with a big old spring on it too that was just doing nothing, right? It was just hooked to a super soaker. You just squeeze it and it would spray water in your
that would
face
be
or
cool
something.
though. I'd take that.
You take that, right?
Yeah, fill it with pee and get behind Steve.
Turn your right, turn your blinker off.
And in a completely ridiculous thing, one of our podcast listeners, one of the Patreons, decided to alert me to the fact that Duluth Clothing Company,
Yeah, the trading company.
clothing for men,
Duluth.
apparently has a beach towel that Meckle Fresh posed for. Guys. And I'm not kidding you. This does look like John. You can pass it around.
It does.
This
It even
looks
has the farmer's tan.
a lot like John posed for this beach towel. And
Actually, his brother. Your brother has.
your brother does look a lot like that. Yeah. It's kind of, I mean, it's kind of hilarious how much they nailed it.
Even the beard. And
But, and again, leave it to our podcast listeners to find shit like that because that's funny as fuck.
Oh, look! It even has a black bar. A tiny
It's got
one.
a black bar across his
I don't know
wiener.
if anybody here is a fan of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Big fan.
I was thinking about what I need to take with me on the Lake Erie Loop, and I'm like,
Towel.
I need a towel.
Absolutely.
I think a
Yeah.
towel. I mean,
You
like,
got to start with a towel.
I could cover up.
Yeah.
I could sleep under my towel.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
towel.
A towel. Yeah, a towel's a good thing. Yeah. But I thought that was fucking hilarious. The Duluth Trading Company does a John McElfresh tribute towel. I'm going to pull it up on the big screen just so everybody can see it.
But I mean, they could have.
Yeah.
Realistically, they could have used a much smaller black bar.
Hey, it's going sideways, man. It's going sideways. All right, that's all you got. All right, so that's all I got. Anybody got anything else? Oh, fuck that. That's a podcast. Ride fast and take chances. Play us.
Ba, 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 ba,
Jesus. Chris, come back.
Watch for the video. You'll get more of the stuff. More